The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Next Gen update has arrived, and this does mean that we've got loads of new settings to change. And some of these settings aren't immediately obvious to players, and I've actually been suggested to make this video since some people would like a guide on how to, alter the settings in the game and the best settings to change. And in today's video, we're going to cover all of that. But just before we do get into everything, I want to let you guys know about a giveaway I am running. CDPR have confirmed that there will be a physical copy of this next generation version of the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and that will be a complete edition. And you have a chance to win this for free by being a subscriber on the channel. By the time that this does release, you have a chance to win this for free on a platform of your choice. All you have to be is a subscriber on the channel. And I do also have a second channel where I cover everything Rockstar Games related. This includes the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series. A link to that channel can be found in the description below. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. Let's get into it. So here we are in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. We are on PC, and all of these settings will be on console other than obviously the graphics settings. So if we go over to the options, here we have the settings. Of course, we've got the audio. Now, this is going to be standard, really. Obviously, you want to change this to what you're using. I always use headphones, so obviously I've got this headphones. And everything here, you can keep this as you want. I've got my master volume a bit lower, but generally speaking, I adjust my audio outside of the Witcher 3, so I don't really need to alter this too much. But if you prefer to adjust your audio in-game, then this is where you can do so. And now I've got the controller settings. I tend to use a keyboard, so I don't really need to go for look at these too much, to be honest. But we do have the adaptive triggers for those that are using obviously the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. Here they are. You can turn this on and off, and this is on PC as well. And then you're able to obviously sprint by pressing. This is a new feature here. Now, it used to be the standard way to sprint in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was to hold down X or A on the controller, but now you can just hit it by pressing LS or L3 on your controller, depending on what you're using. And also you can turn this on and off. Personally, I think it's better to have this on. I think it's a much better way of doing things. It allows you to, press other buttons easily without having to take your thumb off of the sprint button. So I think this is a better way of doing things. It's a more modern way of doing things anyway. But obviously, if you prefer it the old way, then you can turn it off. And now I've got the controller scheme. Now, there's different sort of presets you can use, and I prefer to use exploration. To be honest, this is sort of, I'd say, the standard. But there's loads of other options here that you can use as well. And now we've got the key bindings. Now, I have everything on standard. I haven't really changed anything here. I'm pretty happy with the way things are at default. And obviously, this is only for the keyboard, really. And yeah, you're able to change everything here that you want to, especially for those PC players, which a lot of people will want to do. A lot of people will want to, especially this toggle sprint. You might prefer that. Personally, yeah, I'm happy with how everything is on the defaults. And now we've got the gameplay, and this is where we're getting quite a few of the new features. Now, the on-screen tutorials and stuff here is pretty standard, to be honest. A lot of this, you'll probably be happy with keeping it at the sort of the standard version, and this is where stuff gets a little bit different. Now, obviously, if, for example, I'll be able to show you this in game. So these, if we go to default, this was the original camera settings for the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt that we got back when the Witcher 3 did launch. And if we go in game now, here, this is standard. This is how everything was before this next gen update did release. But then if we go back to options, we go back to gameplay, then we can also change these back to close, and this will definitely give a different feel to the game. So, for example, and there you go. You see, we're getting a much different sort of look at the game here. And yeah, it looks a lot different. Personally, I quite like it. Some people always said that it took them a bit of getting used to, and I can completely understand that. But if you want to have it like this, then you've got the option, and you can change it for different scenarios. So right now, what you're seeing there was exploration, but then you can change it for combat and horseback. So some people might just want it in combat, and you can do that. So yeah, you're able to do that there. And then, of course, you've got your difficulty level, your Gwent difficulty level, and everything like that there. Just the classic sort of settings there. Now, here we're on to the video. The HUD configuration you might want to change here a little bit. Now, obviously, you can change for what you've got sort of subtitles for and everything like that. And you can change the font size for the subtitles and everything like that. Personally, I've just got these at standard. I was pretty happy with how they were before, but some people prefer them smaller, some people prefer them bigger, and you're able to do that right here. Then, of course, you've got your action log, your minimap. You can turn this on and off for however you want them to be. And then you're rescaling your HUD. Now, this depends on your resolution. I'm on a 1440p monitor, and this is sort of how I've got it. But realistically, you just want it on the edge of your monitor there, and you'll have no issues. Now, here we're on to graphics. If you're on a console, you don't really need to worry about any of this. On a console, you're just going to have your two different graphics options. You're going to have your fidelity option, which is basically going to give you the best graphics possible with ray tracing, but you'll be capped at 30 frames per second. Or you've got your performance mode, which will be giving you slightly lower graphics without the ray tracing capabilities, but you'll be getting 60 frames per second, which I think is what a lot of players will go for. I think a lot of people will prefer to use that performance mode, since 60 frames per second is sort of becoming the standard these days, and I think, yeah, a lot of players are going to want to go for that. But either way, we are on PC, and this is going to give you a lot more detail and a lot more options for what you want to change. Now, first of all, we're going to go over to display. I think we should start here. I think it's better. And the display, obviously you can choose which monitor you want. Obviously you want to use your main monitor. The monitor that's got the highest refresh rate and the best resolution is the monitor you want to use, really. And now you've got your display mode. Personally, I think it's best to keep this on full screen. It will lower the latency and give you the best experience, really. Some people get slightly higher frames on borderless window. You can use that. It just means your latency will be a little bit higher, especially if you're on a controller. And then you've got your windowed. I wouldn't really see a need for that, to be honest, but it's there if you want to use it. But personally, I think full screen is the way to go. Now you've got your VSync. The VSync is going to stop your screen tearing, especially if you're on a lower end card. You might want to do this. Now, for example, you might be getting 75, I might be on a 75 Hz monitor, and you're able to get above that sort of, you're able to get above 75 frames, then you might want to turn this off. And if you don't mind a bit of screen tearing, then obviously keep this off. It will increase the latency. Personally, I have it on since I think on a story game, latency isn't that important, but you know, I have it on since I'm not really a fan of any screen tearing, and it guarantees that there won't be any. And now you've got your resolution. Obviously, you just want to put this to what your monitor is capable of. If you're on a slightly higher monitor, yeah, your PC isn't that powerful, then maybe turn this down to maybe 1080p if you want to. But to be honest, you just want to keep that at what it is. Now, here we're at the frame rate. You can cap this. There's a variety of different sort of areas you can cap this. I have it on unlimited, but if you're experiencing some stuttering, or if you're on a lower end PC, you might want to put this to 30 or 60. 60 is definitely where I would aim for, but if you're having little performance issues, then there's really no reason to sort of, there's no reason to have that not on unlimited, to be honest. You're able to just get the best frames per second. But like I said, yeah, if you do get some stuttering, then maybe turn that down to 60 or something. So here we've got the DLSS frame generation. Now, this is only for 40 series NVIDIA cards. So for me, this is grayed out. But obviously, if you have a 40 series card, then this will be enabled for you and you can take advantage of this. And now here we have NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. And this is for those controllers. Now, I would personally just put this on plus boost no matter what. It's just going to give you lower latency. And I think it does make sense. It's going to have little to no impact on your performance. Now the hardware cursor, if you want to use your standard sort of Windows cursor, then you can turn that on, but personally I prefer the Witcher cursor, and I don't really have much of a preference, so I've just kept that off, to be honest. And now here we do have the gamma. Obviously this is where you can change your brightness. I've got this slightly higher since I did have some people in the comments saying, some of the gameplay was a bit too dark, so I did turn this up a bit, and you can turn that up if you want to. Generally speaking, the game can be quite dark, so you might want to turn it up a bit if you want to. And here we have the graphics. Now at the top you've got your standard presets here. You've got your low, your medium, your high, your ultra, your ray tracing, and then your ray tracing ultra. Personally, I play with ray tracing off, especially at the moment. There's so many performance issues at the moment, then to the point where, may as well just play with this off. And I usually have DLSS on here. I put DLSS here, and I put this to balanced. Now, you've also got other options such as FSAA and all of these, but these ones are going to be sort of on native resolutions. And then FSR2 and DLSS are what's going to give you the upscaling. Now, if you're on a sort of maybe a 10 series card, FSR2 is what you might want to be using, to be honest. I would recommend it at least, and then maybe just put this to quality or balanced. I wouldn't really go below balanced, since that's when you're going to be noticing some proper impacts on your on the visual quality of the game. I wouldn't go below balanced at all, unless you are on maybe 4K, then maybe you might want to go onto balanced. But I tend to play on DLSS balance since I've got an RTX card, and if you're on an RTX card, that's something I would recommend. However, there are issues at the moment with some people. I've experienced a little bit where if you do enable DLSS, then you actually get less frames than before, which makes no sense, and there's clearly a bug there, but CDPR have acknowledged it and they are working on it. Now here we've got sharpening. You can change this to what you want. It can have a bit of a visual impact, so for example, if you put this too high, then you're going to see it looks a little different. Some people don't really like this, and I can sort of see why. It can make it feel a little odd. Personally, I quite like it. I have it. That's why I have it on low. You can turn this off though, so if you don't like it at all, then you can just turn that off there. But yeah, I've just kept this on low. Now you've got your screen space ambient occlusion. Now this doesn't make a massive difference to things. So for example, we can turn this off, and you can see it's not got a massive impact on things, but it can make things a little blurry in a way. So you might want to turn this on, and it's kind of a little bit of an impact on performance as well. So you just got to tweak around and just sort of see what your frame rate is and everything like that. Now screen space reflections, if you're on a lower NPC, then definitely turn this off. But I should mention I'm on an RTX 3070 Ti with a Ryzen 7 3700X. So I wouldn't say it's not high NPC, and I wouldn't say it's a low NPC. It's sort of, mid-range to high in a way. So I'm able to have this on high, and I haven't had a massive impact on performance with this. But obviously, if you're on a lower NPC, maybe a GTX kind of card, then you might want to put this on low. Now, motion blur, I don't know why this is on, to be honest. I don't like blur at all, to be honest. I think it's best to have these off, and these can actually impact your performance. So unless you prefer a blurry experience, which some people might do, they prefer it maybe for a story game, think it makes the game look a bit better, which I can understand. But generally speaking, I would recommend having this off. Now here you've got your camera lens effects and everything like that. Some people prefer this on, some people prefer this off. A lot of this isn't going to have a massive impact on your performance though, so you just got to tweak around with this and see what you enjoy. Now your NVIDIA Hairworks, this was in the game before, but these can have a massive impact on performance, and I play this off since For example, we can put this on, and you're going to see it's going to make the hair more detailed, which, you know, it can be nice, I suppose. And you can sort of see this loading in here, and there you go. It makes the hair more detailed and the beard and everything like that. But this does have a massive impact on your performance. So personally, I would recommend playing with this off, but at the same time, you know, if you like it and you've got a very high NPC, then you can have that on. Especially if you want it on for Geralt, then that's fair enough. And obviously you can have it on for everyone if you want that as well. Now this is where we're getting into the graphics options. So the number of background characters sort of speaks for itself really. Now I'm using the Ultra preset since I'm basically just doing, I'm actually using the Ultra preset, but I've just got DLSS on balance, and that sort of works well for me. I'm able to stay comfortably in around 80 frames per second there. And of course we have the new option of Ultra Plus if you want to turn to that. But I'd only recommend that for really high NPCs, to be honest. But obviously you've got your number of background characters, and then you've got your shadow quality, your terrain quality, your water quality, your foliage visibility range, your grass density, texture quality, and detail level. Now all of these are going to have an impact on your performance, so you're going to want to tweak around and see what's right for you. Now what I would recommend doing is searching up benchmarks of your graphics card and try to get it with your CPU as well if you can. But generally speaking, your GPU is what you want to focus on. And just find what frame rates work well for you. On YouTube you can find loads of benchmarks using your graphics card, that's a guarantee. But yeah, you just want to find what works well for you. Now like I said, I'm on the 3070 Ti and I'm able to put this onto Ultra pretty comfortably, and that's worked well for me. I hope after a few optimization updates I might be able to turn that to Ultra Plus hopefully. But right now I'm more than happy with Ultra, and I think the game looks very nice. And of course you can put this down to high. I used to play on a 2060 Super on high settings, and I capped the game at 60 frames per second. That works really well for me. But just tweak this around, you know, find what works well for you, and then you'll be good to go from there. And of course you've got the presets at the top there to be able to help you with that as well. But generally speaking, yeah, it's about, you know, testing, finding what works well for you. With the ray tracing, there's some customization there. There's a lot of issues with the ray tracing at the moment and the DLSS, so that's something you might want to stay away from for a bit before some updates are released. And I'll keep you guys updated on that in the comments and everything like that as updates do get released for that. But generally speaking, that's everything you need to know about the settings really. Obviously the graphics is where you're going to see some changes, and then of course you've got your gameplay settings where you're going to see some of the improvements here. Obviously, like we mentioned with the camera and everything like that, and the Gwent, the quick sign casting and everything like that, you can change this. So quick casting is, that's what you want to do as well. Those are the sort of main improvements there in terms of gameplay, and then of course you've got your graphical improvements which can all be accessed here. And like I did mention, if you're on a console you won't see this, but you're going to have your two different graphics modes which you can pick between. And I recommend the performance mode, but that's up to you. Just test between the two and find what you like. So there you go. Yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to do with the settings here. Well, there we have it. That was a complete guide to the settings in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for those PC players and those console players. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. And just a quick reminder about the giveaway. CDPR have announced there will be a physical copy of the next generation version. You can win that for free by being subscribed to the channel. If you're subscribed to the channel by the time that does release, then you'll automatically be entered into a giveaway to win that on a platform of your choice. And my other channel is also linked in the description below. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.